Oh, welcome to Happy Homeschoolers. My name is Dr. Dawn Karima, and I am so happy to see you and spend time with you. And we are going to have happy homeschoolers. We're going to be happy homeschoolers. We're going to help other people be happy homeschoolers. All of us are. Yeah, we're going to get through this together with fun and grace and growth and learning, understanding and wisdom and knowledge and joy, but most of all, love. Love is the most important ingredient. We're doing this because we love our children. I'm not saying other people don't, they do, but this is our act of love for our children. This is a way we are saying, I love you to our children. And I think that is beyond beautiful. I do. I really do. And so I want to share something with you that I get asked a lot, and you might too. What about socialization? And I'm thinking about one of my report cards where they wrote the comments about you, and they said, oh, she gets straight A's, but she's quite the social butterfly. And I'm not sure that's really true. But many of you will be asked about socialization, or maybe you've even thought it in your own mind. And I want you to be ready. I want you to think about socialization really differently. The reason that teacher called me a social butterfly was because I wanted to talk to my friends. I wanted to sit near my friends. I wanted to see what my friends were doing. What about you? Yeah, I mean, we love our friends. And yet, in a traditional classroom environment, how much time do you really get to spend with your friends? The teachers tell you to be quiet, stop talking, raise your hand and say something and put it back down, right? You're really not just socializing all that much. Lunch period, maybe recess, free period. But most of the time, what there's not a great deal of high quality socialization happening in most large schools. So that's important to remember. I want us to think about socialization really differently, and I'm going to bring a tribal perspective to this because that's the only one I have. So here we go. It's in tribal perspective, your community is everything and everybody. Literally, we've been studying ecosystems in our homeschool this week, and interdependency means that all of us depend on everyone else, and everyone else is depending on us for our place and our behavior and what we do and our role in that family, in that tribe, in that culture. And we're depending on them for what they do and what they bring to the family or the tribe or the culture. And I like to think of homeschooling as an ecosystem, at least right now, because we're studying it. And in an ecosystem, living things, non living things are all dependent, interdependent on one another to survive and to be part of the environment and the habitat. Well, if you look at it that way, there's a lot of socialization going on. I think we have to stop the idea that socialization is only valid if it's people that are exactly the same age as you, in the same classroom as you, in the same place as you, in the same geographic region or location as you, these particular hours of the day, right? I mean, there's a myth that socialization can only happen between 7:45 and 2:30 on weekdays. Hmm. I don't know about you, but many of the people I was surrounded with at school growing up, I didn't really want a whole lot to do with them. They weren't very nice. And they weren't a joy to be around. I looked forward to getting out of school and being able to see my true and real friends. And I'm not saying school isn't a great place because there's many great schools and many good people have come out of great schools. But I'm talking about those of us always who are homeschooling and how we can be happy homeschoolers. And so socialization, if we don't look at it in this more tribal perspective, it can be weaponized against us as homeschoolers. Well, they're just not socializing with kids their own age. Well, okay. That's assuming every kid in that classroom would be talking to them and they would be friends with them and nobody's bullying them and everybody's getting along and the teacher doesn't tell anybody to be quiet and all they do is talk all day. I mean, at most schools, that's not the case, right? At most schools, they only have prescribed times when they're able to fellowship and talk and spend time building friendships with one another. During class, they're supposed to sit there and be quiet and listen to the teacher. That's not socialization. So here's socializing in a different perspective that I hope will help. If you look at socialization only as a very narrow age group and a very narrow classroom and a very small building and a very restricted geographical area, you will miss so many opportunities for your happy homeschooler. See, some of the people I have liked best in my life were not the exact same age as I was, or the same gender, or the same ethnicity, right? I mean, if we restrict socialization to a very limited parameter, a very small group of people, we will miss some amazing people. I mean, I would have missed so many people that I love and think highly of and learned from and I'm so grateful for. I would have just missed them because I would have been narrow instead of tribal. So let's try a different look at socialization. Everyone needs friends. Everyone needs friends. And one of the great benefits of homeschooling is we can structure socialization. We can choose the company we want our children to keep. See, as quiet as it's kept, for all the socialization that is going on in schools, a lot of it is negative. Peer pressure, bullying, um, exposure to values and things that we don't necessarily want. And I'm not judging any of those. I'm just saying that the assumption that it's just everybody's just having a great time chatting and everything and they just talk all day and they just have friendship parties. No, they don't. Most of the time they're listening to a teacher tell them something. And when they do have a chance to socialize, okay, we're hoping that they're learning the values and ideas that we want them to have from children and peers that are people that we want them to be around. I've had many people talk to me and hire me to consult with them because they brought their children out of schools that were teaching them negative habits and values. One grandmother told me that, her child had started smoking because, they were around kids that did that and other values and things that maybe we don't want in our homes and our children. We're not judging anyone else's children. We're just choosing. As for me and my house, right? We want wholesome, kind values. We have a chance to make sure that our children socialize safely, safe for their health, safe for their minds, safe for their will, safe for their emotions. And I've had people tell me, "Oh, well, then you're just keeping your children protected from the world and you're just keeping them away from other people." No, not at all. Not at all. I look at this as a greenhouse. Have you ever been to a botanical garden where they have a greenhouse? Yeah. Well, have you noticed the greenhouse has a certain temperature in there? They don't let it get too hot. They don't let it get too cold. There's no wind in the greenhouse. There's no storms in the greenhouse. The greenhouse is a sheltered and safe environment. Why? Because the plants need to grow. See, weeds can grow anywhere. You can grow a weed, just you don't even have to plant a weed. You can just look out one day and there's some weeds, right? Because they don't need a special environment. They don't need any uh there's weeds. But we're not growing weeds. We're growing valuable and special and treasured plants. We're growing strong trees. We're growing beautiful flowers. We're growing medicinal plants. And so that means we have to think about the environment that they're in and not just what temperature it is or what the weather's like outside. We have to think about how they grow. And so I look at my homeschooling in that way. that I'm sheltering them, that I'm protecting them from choices and people and values and habits and things that might harm them irreparably until they have the teachings and the wisdom and the understanding to discern and think critically and protect themselves. In my culture, the matriarchy is everything. Even the clothing I'm wearing is because I'm part of the matriarchy now. And when you join the matriarchy, your whole role and purpose in life changes. We are the first line of defense, we are the last line of victory. We have one job, and that is to protect our children and our grandchildren, our nieces, our nephews. That's it. That's the whole call we have. And I'm not saying that should be yours, but I'm saying that informs how I think. And so when I think about socialization, the first thought I have is, are these people or situations that will help my child or hurt my child? My granddad used to say there were two ways to learn something. You can make mistakes or you can make mentors, and mistakes will cost you. And I know people say, oh, let them make mistakes. We're not talking about that. We're talking about actual damage. We're not talking about learning and growing and making mistakes, trying things out. We'll talk much more about that. And it's always wonderful. But we're talking about choosing people who have good minds and values that you want to see replicated in your child. And so, from a tribal perspective, those people can come from all age groups. Elders are a great source of wisdom. The elders in your family and your community, they have stories to share, they have knowledge to share, they have patience, right? I mean, one of my friends was saying that she was getting frustrated with math facts, 2 times 2 is 4 and all that. And she said she called her grandma and was like, please listen to my child tell you all these math facts. And her grandma was thrilled. Like her grandma thought that was the highlight of her day. you know? So elders are a great resource for socialization. Younger people are too. See, younger siblings, oh, they can learn from older siblings. And sometimes you're frustrated trying to teach them something, and a big brother or big sister does it, and they want to do it. They copy it, they learn. Intergenerational socialization is priceless. Safely done, wisely done with good people, it is absolutely a tremendous tool for homeschooling. I mean, I remember learning about World War II in books, in class, in history, and I also remember listening to my grandfathers and my uncles tell me their real life experiences on D-Day and in World War II. And boy, wow, it added an extra dimension to that historical lesson. I think that we have a wonderful opportunity too to expand our socialization to people who are diverse from different ethnicities and cultures, from different parts of the world, from different parts of our region, not just people like exactly like us, right? In our school system, exactly like us. We have a growth opportunity to learn from each other, to exchange information, to create a worldview with all kinds of people who matter in it, different abilities, different ages, different backgrounds, different appearances, different parts of the world, different regions, different gifts, right? And so I want to encourage us to think of socialization. And I want to add one more area that my tribal perspective brings me. It's living and non living things, right? Back to the ecosystem, right? And so pets are part of socialization. Dogs, cats, whatever they may, bearded dragons, I don't know, whatever you have, they're part of your world. Think of them as friends. Think of them as family, spending time taking care of a pet, loving a pet, playing with a pet. That is socialization. Land, water, air, sky, plants, animals, those are socialization too. Instead of thinking we're just in this park, think of what's in the park with you. The plants, the animals, the environment around you is part of socialization. You're spending time in a space making friends. And of course, we'll talk much more about socialization too and how to do it. But I want to start us thinking differently about it. That's the first step. Your children have excellent socialization because they have you. They have wonderful socialization because they're taking classes and they're going to co-ops and they're doing live virtual classes. And you have socialization because you have relatives, kinfolks, your faith community, maybe your cultural community. All of those people are precious and valuable. And then add the co-ops, add the live classes, add the peers and the friends, but don't limit them. Limit them by standards and quality, but don't limit them by things like age or if they have the exact same abilities as your child. Be surprised who you can learn from. I want you to have a wonderful, happy homeschool. And socialization is an important part of that. But remember, you're already social. I'm Dr. Dawn Karima, and I'm so glad we got to spend this time together. And I'm really looking forward to when we're together next time.